Hey, welcome to today's show, everyone. I am joined by none other than one of my partners in crime, Count Dankula. He and I have kind of a similar background, but in totally different shapes and forms. And we cover a lot of interesting topics from his early roots and some of the trials and tribulations of YouTube back then and his career, plus some updates and points of views and hot takes of things going on right now. I also want to apologize for a couple awkward questions that I had in there. That is part of the job, figuring out how to communicate with people, and hopefully my pain will be your entertainment. But please enjoy this episode. You can also find out more at episodes.shirtwascash.com. So check it out.
Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. There's a big deception going on, and you're involved in it, but I just thought you ought to know it.
So,
Nice one.
you carved up now, or?
No, I'm good. I'm all right now. I hadn't eaten all day, but I've eaten a bit of it now, so that'll do me until I finish this.
If you pass out, what do I call for Scotland? Like is 911 out there? Or?
It's 999, but if I pass out, I'm done. It takes them 3 days to get here.
I'll just have it on. I'll have it on camera. We'll see how long.
Yeah.
Days, weeks. I wouldn't know what to call. I would just
corpse rotten time lapse.
A lot of people online would probably tune into that. Good and bad, right?
Yeah. But sell it to Live Leak. He'll take it.
But I guess just to start a little serious, how big actually is your PP?
See the amount of people that ask me that. Man. Like I made that. This all starts from a joke that I made in a video where I says I named my dick fascism, and I was going to show people what fascism really looks like, and fascism looks like a Pringles can with veins, and people ran with it, and then people started going, "Ooh, woo! I notice you're bulgy," and now an entire fucking community is formed behind it. And all that, but I don't want to give the exact size because there's a meme around that as well, which I would rather keep that out of the out of the mainstream. Yeah,
you're censoring our conversation on the first question. Not a good start, buddy.
I'm trust me, I'm honest about a lot of other things. Just don't ask me for my bank details or anything.
I guess let's starting even further back. How did you actually pick Count Dankula? These names always have such an interesting backstory.
This was like before I had any plans to like make Nazi Pug or anything. I just went, I'm just going to make a stupid shit posting YouTube channel where I'll just post like whatever dumb videos me and my friends make. And I turned around to Sue and I went, what's a stupid sounding meme name for a YouTube channel? And she thought for a couple of seconds and then she went, Count Dankula, and I went, yeah, perfect. That sounds fucking stupid, man. And that's the one. I mean, I could have chose, Pussy Slayer XX 420 or something, but I got Count Dankula. If I'd have known it was going to go anywhere, I'd have chosen a better name.
Pretty lucky. Our name, so Shirtwascash, that started in a R4chan thread before we had names. Someone said those shirts are cash.
Yeah.
And I just ran with it.
It's based on the old Jersey Shore memes. That shit was cash and all that stuff.
Yeah. And the cat itself, I always like that one. But we actually have similar sort of backgrounds into this world. It seems like our stories are the least advertised, least accepted, least promoted, but we all seem to be pretty decent folks, so I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
But
People on we are the ones on the side of the internet that get the worst rep when we're actually like the nicest people out there. You know, for example, we're not going to get you fired from your job and track your wife down to a workplace or come and petrol bomb your house. You know,
hmm
we don't do that. We don't do
yeah.
any of that at all. You know, maybe we'll fill your live stream chat with swastikas. You know, that'll be the worst of it. But but
How
we still are the bad guys.
how's your relationship with the name changed over time? Now that that we're starting to get a little older, does it limit you? Does it? I know when I first started being anonymous, so I just started literally anonymous,
Yeah,
and that I was in a corporate job at that time, and it gave me so much room to be myself behind
yeah.
this brand that was, and it wasn't even myself. It was like this exaggerated form, it turns into a character. But I'm curious how your relationship with the name has evolved.
Well, that's the thing. It's even whenever I'm doing like my comedy or my YouTube or anything like that, I'm fine with the name. I like the name. It's stupid because the amount of people that hate me that go, "What kind of fucking dumb name is Count Dankula anyway?" And I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's a dumb name. Like that's why I get chose. But see, when I'm trying to do like my serious like free speech stuff, then
Hmm
I try and not use that name because like one of the times was this is when I went to speak at the European Parliament in Strasbourg in France,
mm
right? And this was when
hmm
Article 13 was going down. This was like the day of the vote. And I was to speak to a room full of people to present my arguments against Article 13. And I'd done all my homework. I'd read the legislation. I had my stuff all written out. I was properly ready and good to go. And I got introduced on stage as Count Dankula,
Oh my
and
God.
you just seen all the reporters in the room going like, "What?" Like,
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
I was on
It's like
stage like,
breaking the Matrix.
yeah. So I'm sitting there like, "No, please take me seriously. I'm not going to meme. This is really important. I'm not going to meme. Right? This is really serious. This is legislation that will turn Europe into China." Man, like
Oh,
no jokes, 100% serious, and I was 100% serious. But it was so see and stuff like that. I don't want the name because I want it to
mm,
everything I'm saying to be taken seriously. But in literally any other aspect, like I'll just use the name.
interesting. Yeah, I can see that for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, staying sort of when this started, what was the actual initial driving force of your videos? Because I actually remember coming across some of them, and I actually have an interesting story of when I first got introduced to you, actually,
Right.
in a minute here. But I'm curious, what actually like drove you to be that rambunctious kid on camera so early?
Well, like I've always like sort of done it, but just never filmed it or anything. Like I've made a bunch of like memes and shit post videos in the past, but I never uploaded them anywhere. And some of them are still like floating around the internet. Some of them are extremely spicy, so I'm not going to accept responsibility for them.
Yeah,
I know what they are, and
I feel you.
whenever I see one of them, I'm like that. Oh, yeah, yeah, there you go. I made that. I'm not going to
Uh,
tell anyone that, but I made that. But
oh
like,
shit.
but then it was just like me and my friends were just like fucking around and we would make stupid videos. Like, see how probably like my first 10 videos on the channel when I started uploading back in 2015, they're all like inside jokes that only me and my friends would
Mm.
get. Like that's the whole idea behind it. And like even though people watched it and enjoyed it and found it funny and everything, like there's lots of inside jokes that were just for me and my friends. Like I
Mm.
never this is everyone asked me, how many subscribers did you have when you first uploaded the Nazi pug video? I had 8 subscribers, and they were like all my friends. They were my
Oh
friends. Like
shit.
there wasn't anybody that I didn't know that was
Mm.
subscribed to my channel. And also, it was just basically like just for us. And then I decided to make like the Nazi pug video, and then well, we all know what fucking happened there.
And how many subscribers did you get from that exchange there?
I think it was about after all of that kicked off, I had about 3,500 subscribers,
Hmm
about 3,500. And then obviously, like, I got arrested and I get fired for all my jobs, and like I wasn't focused on YouTube at all. I would still upload like the occasional shit post, but I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to, develop my real world life. I was like, holy shit! There was a period of like 8 months where I didn't have a job. I couldn't get a job. I was
Mm-hmm.
picking up like the odd shift in security, and that
Oh
was
wow.
it. And I was trying my hardest to like get out there and get a job. And it was a point where I was really bummed out. I was really depressed, and
Mm-hmm.
I just had all this fucking free time. And then it was during the free time that I decided to like. It was actually Sargon of Akkad
Mm-hmm.
that said to me, "You should make, the type of content I make. You're quite funny. You're quite this." Because I was hanging out with him, and he realized he was like, "You're really funny. Like you
Mm-hmm.
write good stuff. Like start making proper videos." So I started, just making videos about shit I wanted to talk about. But then because I'd been unemployed for 8 months and I was still getting shit from the SJWs, I was starting to make anti-SJW content,
Oh
and then
yeah.
that got really popular, and then it just sort of snowballed from there, and then I decided to watch Mad Lads, and then it went even higher from there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we are now. But that's it. The only reason that I'm big on YouTube is see if like all of the screechers just let me go out and get a job. If they just let me go out and get a job and live my life, none of this would have happened. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have done YouTube. I would have just took it as a little side hobby. But because they gave me no choice but to focus on YouTube, this is now
Mm-hmm.
what I do full time, and I'm making the most money I've ever made in my entire life.
Yeah, that's that
Yeah,
amazing how fate and luck plays into that. I guess
yeah.
digging into that, like how I've been on the end of a few pitchforks, nothing like I can imagine you have been. Did it take you a long time to recover, just like from the blunt force, or were you young enough and I guess have enough energy just to keep pushing back at them the whole time, or?
Well, that was the thing is, see, when everything was just sort of like unfolding at the time, and I was having like newspapers trashing me, and then I get fired from my job. I just thought, whatever, it's fine. This will all blow over in like 2, 3 weeks, and then I'll just go out and get another job. But like every single place that I applied to, basically I was going into it, they were recognizing the name, they were seeing my face, and they were just going, no, 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 no. And then it got to a point where I was like, all right, it's better than living in the street. I'm just going to lie and not tell them who I am. Like
Right.
I need to work. I want to work.
Mm.
So I would just go in, and it was on the form. Do you have any pending criminal things against you? And I was just going, no, but
Oh
because
shit.
I've got bills
Got.
to pay. I've got bills to pay, man.
Mhm.
Like I need to put food in my belly. So I ended up I was lying, but then what would happen is, in a few instances, on 2 instances, on the first day when I went into the place of work, other employees went, "You're that guy," and I was on the spot fired. And then there was other times where I would get a
Oh my
job,
god.
but yeah, on the spot fired. That's twice on like the first day. One time it was like an hour after walking in the building. An hour after walking
Oh
in the
my
building, I
god.
got fired.
Yeah,
Uh, there
a
was
lot of
other.
people can't ever get
Oh,
past it either.
oh no, definitely not. Like that, and that was, and then there was other places where I would get a job, and then there was people, certain like people on the, like the far left who just didn't want to leave me alone. They just really, really wanted to make sure my life was ruined. So
Mm.
see, as soon as it got out where I was working, they would start calling up the employers and telling them who I was, and going, yeah, this is what he's done, this is that, and basically, I think there was about 5 jobs that I lost because these far left extremists found out where I was working and told on me. And that was about 8 months worth of that where I had no job. Like, I think I probably in total went through about 10, 11 jobs, like in that 8 month period. And it was fucking terrible. I was depressed as fuck.
Jeez.
I was actually sitting going like, "Oh, is this it like forever now?"
Mm.
Because we were
So they
living
were
off.
winning. They were
Yeah.
achieving it.
Oh yeah, they were really fucking me over, and it was like, and a part of me was just going like that, like, is that it? Is that this it? Like forever?
Mm.
No, I'm just not allowed to work again, and I'm sitting. I've see since I was 16, right? I've always worked. I've always had a job. Since 13, if a paper round counts. Right? I've always been in a job. Always. Like, I think the longest, there was only two occasions where I was out of jobs for 2 months at a time, and that was because the place I was working in just shut the fuck down out of nowhere. Right? I've always had a job. So see, just having this 8 month period of doing nothing, just sitting staring at the internet, like, and going, I wish I had a job. I
That's what
want
a
a
lot of
job.
people are feeling right now, actually. That's like
Yeah.
a lot of lunacy because people haven't been remote, even people who still have jobs. Transitioning your psychology and habits to be able to even be remote, I think, is like a
Yeah.
2 or 3 year process. And the hysteria that we're witnessing, I think, has quite a bit more to do with that than we realize. But starting from there, so I saw last week that you were actually on YouTube's trending. So what? So started from the bottom, now we're here. Like
Oh,
what?
it's
Any
been
speculation on that?
this is the thing that's been really, really weird, right? And I've never understood. Basically, when I was first came on YouTube, like, obviously, the more I started to grow, the more I started to qualify for monetization. But the money, because I wasn't really sure what I was doing, I didn't know how to set it up properly, and also because back then my views were pretty low. I wasn't making, I wasn't making big money. I was making probably about, like, maybe 200, £300 a month, like, on YouTube. And then it grew and grew and grew, and all of my videos got demonetized when I got found guilty, right? And I thought, that's some fucking bullshit, but whatever, fucking leave it then. Just, wasn't making that much anyway. But then after a while, I was monetized again, and that's when I, like, launched Absolute Mad Lads, and then I managed to get monetized videos all the way up to my Shoko Asahara video, which did really well, and that's when I was pulling in the serious views, serious subscribers, and see it, like, really good money. And I thought, oh, holy shit, this is solving so many problems for me. But then what happened was a journalist by the name of Mark DiStefano, who worked for BuzzFeed, was doing a hit piece on Tommy Robinson. And in his back and forth emails with YouTube, he, for some reason, mentioned me and was calling me far right, and was asking questions about the monetization on my videos. And I was like, why bring me up? Why mention me and everything? And because he lied about me to YouTube and called me a far right racist, white supremacist, blah blah, YouTube just demonetized everything on my channel. They didn't take me out of the creator thing. Basically, it was just a case of it still had the little yellow icon. I wasn't taken out it completely. They just demonetized absolutely everything. So YouTube wouldn't let me make money from adverts, but they still wanted a third of my super chats and a third of my memberships and all that stuff as well. So basically, I was making no money from YouTube whatsoever, but YouTube were making money from me. And, like, no matter how many, I contacted them, explained it to them, and even after that journalist got outed as doing literal illegal spying, corporate espionage shit, like, I contacted YouTube going like, look, this guy is literally in trouble with the police. He even had his, like, see his pass for the National Union of Journalists. He had that revoked. That's how bad the things he did were. And YouTube still refused to talk to me. But then eventually Ethan Klein, Ethan Klein of H3H3, everyone used to make jokes, and he would go, well, I don't talk to Susan Wojcicki. And do you think I just have a big red phone to Susan? And then for me, Ethan literally picked up the red phone to Susan and went, yeah, can you give Count Dankula his monetization back? And I got it back. I got it back. And for the first time, like, that Glenn Coe video I just uploaded was the first video in 2 years I've had that I've uploaded, and it's been monetized.
That's crazy, man. Do you think it has to do with the antitrust hearings at all? That was the first connection I made.
Yeah, I think it's a case of, like, people are terrified. Like, you heard them saying it in that meeting where they went, we don't want another 2016. We don't want another Trump. and all that, and it's sort of like that's not up to you. That's up to the people. Like, see, when I see people controlling huge swathes of the information that people can and cannot see, and they curate and control that information, and they're like,
Mm.
yeah, we're going to use these tools to literally swing an election in the way that we want. That's kind of like, I'm sure that's illegal, man. Like, it's like monopolizing something is like as really powerful as
Mm.
information. That's almost godlike power.
Yeah, and also they have become these transnational corporations. They have multiple policies, so how they are, the company they present themselves in China, if they're allowed there, compared to the United States, they'll have multiple policies. Same with
Yeah,
the Middle East. So it's not even like we're talking about US companies to the same extent that we used to. And so they would have their, what used to be good for Enron, not Enron, for the gas companies
yeah.
was good for America, and it just is not the case anymore. So
The it's like that. That's the thing that really concerns me now. This everyone always obviously I have the libertarian argument of companies shouldn't get interfered with by the government unless they are infringing on the rights of others. But as everybody says, like they try and say it to me all the time when it comes to hate speech laws, where they say, "Oh, as society and the community around us and the world develops, and advances, so must our laws and the ways we regulate things and stuff like that." And I do agree with that to an extent, which is why I feel that, see, we are now in like the information era. We are in the internet era. And I've seen the internet era starting. I've been on the internet since I was about 8 years old. And when I was 8 years old is when the internet was just starting to come up as this big mainstream thing. Like, I
mm,
remember I was working for an internet company at the time, and they went, "We've now decided to launch broadband. You're going to get lines that can download 512 kilobytes a second." And we were all sitting in the meeting like, no fucking way, 512? Holy shit. Man, fucking look at it now. You're getting like 200 meg fucking gigabyte fiber and shit like that. But anyway, I'm digressing. But
God, it was so epic too.
oh
Like
yeah, I remember they were sitting there reloading a page and it only took 30 seconds and you were like, wow, it's so fast.
I had a sidekick, dude. It wasn't even my sidekick. It was a friend's, and I was like such a at that point I was kind of like an asshole, I guess, because I would take his sidekick in class and I would be on the internet, but it would take
Yeah.
so fucking long to load anything.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing is, like, see, as more and more people come online, like there is so much stuff that happens in the online space, like communication, shopping, trading, the economy, like so much stuff happens
Mm.
online, and whether you like it or not, a huge portion of society's soul, the way it interacts
Mm-hmm.
and works with itself, now happens online in this online
Totally.
space. It's just the way that humanity has evolved. Now the thing is, everyone thinks because it's all magical pixels and fairy dust in the air that the rights that you have in the real physical world now suddenly no longer apply to this world. And it's a case
Mm.
of, oh, the online space is not the literal physical town square. It's not the physical one, but it's still a town square. I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
the same as it would be really shitty to someone to ban them from 90% of the town square and only let them talk in this little damp, dark corner of it where no one can hear them. The same applies to the online space because so much social interaction now takes, but the majority of social interaction now takes place in the online space, and that's why I feel
Mm-hmm.
that our rights should now transfer to it, which is
Definitely.
why I don't like the fact that these huge that this little few square miles in Silicon Valley and San
Mm-hmm.
Francisco control the information that 90% of the English speaking world gets to access.
It doesn't even make sense. Like, first, there's such a disconnect between who we are in real life and the internet. And the
Yeah.
internet has such implications that I think a lot of that disconnect is really like if I walk around, I'm in Austin, so it's not quite on fire yet. But if I walk around, like people are pretty like nice and seem to be doing pretty well. But you know, when we go online, we're all experiencing this now second life on the internet that is completely disconnected almost from who we are, and and the difficulty to process between the two. I think people are having a lot of difficulty.
I think it's because whenever you were on the internet and like you said yourself, like anonymous, like I've been on 4chan. The funny thing is I've been on 4chan since the early days, but not on B. I was
Mhm.
actually in Wallpaper General making fucking sick desktop backgrounds. That's what I was doing, right? But obviously from there I went into B and stuff like that. And see, when you are anonymous, you have more freedom, as in basically, like for example, freedom from social consequences. Because if
Mhm.
you walk around in your real world, in the real world, and you act like a complete arsehole and you act like a piece of shit, then that's attached to you, your personhood, your face, and stuff like that. And then
Mhm.
the world around you will adjust in a certain way. So you limit yourself and control yourself, and and you sort of restrict yourself in a lot of expressive ways. Whereas online, because you were anonymous, there was no ramifications to the things that you say, unless you said something horrifically illegal, like "I'm going to shoot up a school" or some shit like that. But that
Or
means
you
that,
trained your pug to.
yeah, that, yeah. But that's the thing is, see, because there was no social consequences to doing something online while you were anonymous, people had more freedom, and that's the thing is, people would therefore then do and say and act in ways that they never would in the real life. And but just because they're doing that online doesn't mean this is who they really are as a person. They would do it just as a sort of release. It was very punk rock.
Mhm.
It was an opportunity for you to just sort of have this Goose Fraba cathartic moment to
Totally.
go on poll and type the N word 10 times. You're not racist. You just like the you just like the ability to like be able to do something like that and not suffer any consequences. I think it was an outlet.
Mm.
And if you went online and you did this and you acted like this, you could then go about your real world life feeling a little bit better because you had some kind of outlet for your rage, your anger, anxiety, or just excitement and energy. Like that's what the internet, used to be. But now it's a case of people just want to control these online spaces. Like that's the thing is there are people online who are all oh fuck Israel, oh fuck the Jews, oh fuck this, and everything. And I've met them in real life, and I'm like, you don't really believe in all that, do you? And they're like, nah, not really. I don't know why I do it. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
okay, but yeah, fair enough.
And so I think one thing that you can really tell by really your own character, because you're the only one witnessing it, is like who you are when you're alone. So this is a concept that's in my mind, is like who am I being when I am alone. So and by comparison, I can kind of see how much of a show I'm putting on when other people are around. So I can really like use that as a way to look at my true self. And that also that also is the case online. And I think we see a lot of people who are young, particularly, and I would even say like aren't don't have the social supports around them, don't their parents are working a lot or aren't around.
Yeah.
Maybe they have an undiagnosed ADHD or something like that that has really like they haven't formed their ego yet. They haven't formed who they are. They haven't tested the boundaries of what is good and what is bad. Like the whole process
Yeah.
of growing up is this process of experimentation and like learning from that so that you can boil it down to someone you actually want to be in a lot of ways.
It's called the 6 year rule.
Was that?
It's basically, see, because you're constantly developing and growing as a person. I mean, the average person doesn't really figure out who they really are until like late 30s, early
Mm,
40s,
yeah.
and some shit. But the 6 year rule is basically, if you look back at yourself and the way you were and the opinions you had and the way you acted and the way you carried yourself 6 years ago, you'll cringe. And
Yep.
your future self 6 years from now will look back on the way you are right now and cringe.
Mhm.
So that's the
Yep.
six-year
No
rule.
doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt. I was so self-centered, like asshole. It's really amazing to like look back, and that's one of the amazing things of life is like how quickly you grow. Like time is this elusive thing, and the internet adds a lot of ambiguity to that experience. But I guess going back, so I actually have a story for you, but I'm curious, when did you first find Shirtwascash? Because you actually wore it early.
It was a while ago. Like I can't even remember where I found it. I don't. It was that long ago that I don't even remember. I just remember going on, browsing some of the T-shirts, and I thought, "Oh, that's fucking funny. That's fucking funny." Like, and then I went, "Yeah, I'll get a few of these," and I bought them for myself, and I just wore them when I was out and about. And other than like, I can remember it was that long ago that yeah, I can remember it actually. I remember going up to my mum with the women eating cereal one
Oh yeah.
to put it nicely. And I remember my mum flipping out, and she's like, "That's disgusting. That's disgusting." And I'm like, "What? She's just eating Fruit Loops. Get your
Yeah.
mind out the gutter." I'm like,
That,
like, ah, yeah, my mum flipped out at that.
so fortunate people put that on a shirt so it looked that way, but that's a licensed photograph, and I'm pretty sure the photographer that took it didn't see that as a reference
Oh
when
my.
when he did that. But so I actually so I've been confronted a few times with various shirts that we've put out or designs we've put out where it's like it's for comedy. For me, it's for comedy, and it's for kind of like putting a poll out there of like what is the edge of I guess free speech, but like what is the edge of what would be acceptable to wear.
Yeah.
So I've kind of like viewed the brand as trying to put a free speechish comedic wall out there, probably similar to your comedy. But I've been confronted a few times with certain designs where it's like sometimes bad people actually do wear our clothes, and it loses its irony. And to
Yeah.
see that is, especially being probably like a 26, 28-year-old person, when this I guess philosophical question of my choices and stance first came, is like, how do I actually feel about this? Like, do I actually want to take these designs down, or do I still stand for the principles of why I say that we're willing to sell them? And one of the first what someone sent me a YouTube video of yours where you're on there, and I forget what you were exactly talking about, but you had Kim Jong Il on. Kim Jong
Yeah.
Il was still alive. That's how quickly all this stuff moves. But you were on there, and I wasn't aware of you at that time, and so that like triggered me to think about like, okay, what are we actually doing here? And it's so crazy because I ended up having a second realization along the line of that, where so many people are like judging. So much of this is people projecting their own judgments and not understanding who they're judging anyways.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting that like now you're someone that is super important on the same sort of virtues and path that I have put so much of my career behind. And and when you initially were wearing our t-shirts, it was first me assuming something chaotic out of my control that was like repping our brand,
Yeah.
whereas you were actually representing the core of it. And I had to come to this realization of just like what we're actually doing here. And I guess I don't know where this is leading, but I guess in somewhat it's like an apology on behalf of the internet, where like you were such a nice guy. Like you've always been such a nice guy, and it's really strange that I guess I don't. It's strange because that was a moment and a reflection of this brand that you were fundamental of. I like spent a lot of time thinking about this, and it was now later off base.
Yeah.
I was not even. I didn't even like know who you were. I didn't take the time to figure that out, and that's quite I don't know, a piece where you're in my life that was meaningful. I'm definitely not portraying this as well as I guess I could have. But
I get what you mean in regards to like people like representing your brand and stuff like that. Like it's a whole you cannot control who likes you. You can't. Like that's the thing is it's the whole. Do you know that pedophiles shop in Walmart? Yeah, that doesn't mean that Walmart endorses pedophiles, right? That's the thing is you have no control whatsoever. I mean, you can disavow the person like if you want, that's up to you. But see, just because, like, say for example, if I'm like a super ultra mega racist, and I go into Dunkin' Donuts and buy a coffee, that doesn't mean that Dunkin' Donuts suddenly believes the bell curve. Like that's not how it works. Like you don't control who comes in. I mean, like say for example, if someone comes up to the counter or goes to the checkout section of your website, it's like if you could just fill out this quick political questionnaire before we decide whether or not we want to sell this item to you. Like that's a completely unfeasible, unreasonable thing to do. You have no control over that, which is why I've never understood why people went, "You did business with this man." Well, how were they supposed to know? How were they supposed to know? Like, and that's why when everyone goes, this man watches your YouTube videos, it's so fucking what do you want me to do? Like suddenly manifest myself in everybody's house and say, no, not you, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to like me. Like
the
off.
key aspect is I misjudged. So it's like we misjudge people so much, and in how that affects like a lot of the people that are against each other nowadays.
Yeah.
It's so obvious if we just started spending some more time getting to know each other. I mean, some ideologies are incompatible, and that is the core of where we're kind of at online.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like most of what we're even doing and the assumptions we're having of each other and the way we're treating each other is like misjudged. It's like straw man versions that we think and we project that someone is. It's not actually who they actually are. Like I find that I am almost always wrong. And that's a troubling realization to have, but it's really true. And that's generally why I try and give people the benefit of the doubt, just because
don't assume the worst in people.
Yeah. But so a few questions off the top here. So if you were starting, what do you think is the greatest misconception between you personally and who your fans assume you are?
I think my fans actually have a good idea of like who I am. Like I think that it's like that's the reason that they watch me. They know that I'll say a lot of offensive shit and I'll make jokes about terrible things. Like recently, I've drawn the wrath of Arab Twitter in the last few days because I've made jokes about Beirut. But whenever I do stuff like that now, even though making jokes about the Beirut blast, you know, literally an hour after it happened, you know, very very fucking spicy thing. But my fans know that I'm not doing that because I'm like. Ah, yeah, Lebanese people died. Yeah, fuck yeah. Like that's not why I'm doing it. They just know that, and because they understand that making jokes about terrible things isn't the same as being happy that the terrible things happened. It's not. It's just I use comedy to sort of deal with terrible shit. Like what happened in Beirut was horrific. That thing looked like a fucking nuke. That wiped out like everyone that was caught in that little white blast. Like they're dead. They're probably not even a body left, vaporized. And I just find that concept so fucking horrible, so terrifying that I made a fucking dad joke. I tweeted out Beirut, more like Boomroot, LMAO. Right, and I just didn't know what else to say. Like that's just how I deal with shit. But my fans understand that is what I do. They go, yeah, he's kind of being an arsehole. It's the whole you are a bad guy, but that doesn't mean you are a bad guy. Man, like that type of shit. So like I feel like they understand. Like actually, like I've sometimes they'll ask me what they'll ask me what my opinion is on certain things sometimes, but I don't think they have any misinterpretations about who I am. You know, the people that don't like me definitely have a lot of misinterpretations of who I am. Sometimes those misinterpretations are, you know, on purpose. But as for my own audience, no.
What's the coolest thing a fan's ever done?
Oh, there's been quite a few. One guy at an event came up to me and says, Dankula, I made this for you. And it was a framed and signed picture of his balls.
Oh my god!
And I was just like, I'm not even mad, man. But the problem was like I was out like drinking at a bar, so I had to like carry it around with me all night because there was nowhere I could sit it down, and everyone's going, "What you got there?" And I'm like, "I was a picture of balls." Man, so I'm just walking around drunk, carrying this framed picture of someone's balls, which just made the night even funnier. So that was funny as hell.
I feel like porn star fans don't even tribute them that genuine.
That's the thing that's really weird. Is like all of my interactions like have been positive. I have had a few people come up to me with the intention of debating me, but it's always like super friendly, super nice. You know, sometimes I'll change their mind or they'll change my mind, or we agree to disagree, and then we carry on drinking, and that's fine. I've only ever had like maybe 3 or 4 like not very nice interactions. Two of them were because I got surrounded by Antifa. But the other 3 or 4, it was just basically the person knew who I was, didn't like me very much, and wanted to make it known that they didn't like me. So I just acted like a shithead towards them.
Yeah. What's your hot take on November right now?
Oh, I genuinely,
do you have one?
I don't know what way it will go. Like this is the thing is Biden's not well. He's not well. Like he's mentally deficient, and everyone's like, I don't like the idea that Trump has access to the big red button. I don't want Biden anywhere near the big red button. He doesn't know where he is half the time. And everyone is sort of like, look, I don't care. Like Trump on cognitive ability alone is far better than Biden. I think they want Biden in because they know they can treat him like a complete puppet. I mean,
maybe he started experimenting with psychedelics or something. Who knows?
I don't know. That's a maybe he's got a very, very long history of doing it, and that's why his brain's completely fucking fried. Like it's just honestly, like I'm genuinely worried. Like, but that's the thing is, see, because everyone's doing the whole blue no matter who, like type thing. But like everyone, like loads and loads of people hate Trump. So no matter like the Democratic Party could put out a literal like shaved baboon with Down syndrome, and they're still going to vote for it because it means they're not voting for Trump.
Yeah,
and all that. So like November, I'm not sure. But then again, I was unsure in 2016 as well.
Would you say you're more unsure this time?
I'm much more unsure. I'm much more unsure this time because basically, you know, Trump's had 4 years of just sheer hatred propaganda against him. Like to the point where there's people literally willing to commit, you know, terrorist acts against Donald Trump. So honestly, truly have no idea. But I will say that if Biden gets in, like we're fucked. Like
Mm.
he is not mentally like he's not mentally well enough to be president.
What's actually different from Europe compared to America? Like how's the feeling out there? Is I'm sure I assume it's getting more extreme out there, or
Yeah, the our governments are doubling down on how much control they have. Our governments are trying their hardest to have a lot more regulations, have a lot more laws, have a lot more control over, the average, just person in the street. And I think it's because they know that they are fucking up and like the discontent against the government, especially against the European Union, is at an all-time high. Basically, it turns out that people don't like being told what to do and having things forced upon them that they didn't ask for. Who
Mhm.
knew? Who knew? And people are starting to resist it. But the government, instead of addressing these problems, are basically saying, "No, this is what we've decided. This is what you're getting, and you're just going to have to deal with it." And then they act all shocked when there's pushback against it.
Yeah. Does di- is do you think Europe's actually going to stay together then? Because you guys also
No,
have the euro, and the
I
euro adds complication to that.
I definitely don't think that the European Union is going to stay together. Or like, if it does stay together, it's going to be like France, Germany, Belgium, and like that's it. Like loads of other countries are starting to get really fucking sick of it. Like, for example, Hungary. I think Hungary is going to be the next one that leaves. Definitely, like they are going down the whole embrace tradition like route. Like they're
Mm.
saying we're not going to take any migrants. We're actually just going to start encouraging everyone to have families. That shit,
Okay.
yeah, they're totally going down that route. And the European, and this is shows the authoritarianism of the European Union. If you don't toe the party line, then the European Union is going to fuck with you. They're going to take away your voting powers in the EU. They're going to impose like sanctions or fines on you. And that's why I see the EU as an authoritarian entity. Countries should be able to decide for themselves what they want to do. Like, for example, like, why should a guy that lives in like Lithuania, the other side of Europe, be able to cast a vote on a law that affects people in Hungary? Like, why does that person get to do that? And like the EU have the mistake of thinking that this one blanket law that covers the entire European Union is good and that'll be fine, when they don't understand that there are huge like economic, social, and cultural differences in these countries, which means that these laws are going to be a bad thing. You can't just pass one law over all these different cultures and just expect it to go well. And like another thing that the European Union did, which I was absolutely fucking blown away by, coronavirus. Italy got fucking hammered with the coronavirus. They had tons of old people just dropping like flies, and
Mm.
in the middle of the height of their pandemic, the European Union fined them €6 million for some bullshit thing that happened like 2 years ago, and it's kind of like
Oh my
they're
God.
literally in the middle of a pandemic. Thousands of their elderly are dying, and you did what to them? It's like, and that the thing is, the more the EU does stuff like that, the more people turn against them, because all of Italy, like all the youngsters who'd all lost grandparents, were like that to the EU. Fuck you. Like, and these are the generation that are going to grow up, and eventually they're going to reject the EU in its entirety, which is good because fuck globalism.
Yeah. I it almost seems like forming the EU was a its own version of like the Treaty of Versailles.
It was for China. That's why. Like they don't talk about it much now. You only hear whispers of it. But if you look back in the day at the maybe back in the day in the sort of Middle Ages of the European Union, it was made to counteract China. That's the way it was. There's this
Mm.
massive giant superpower of 1.5 billion people. But if we all unite our populations and
Hmm.
bring in the immigrants who like to breed and stuff like that and get our numbers up. It was basically formed out of fear
Oh,
of
oh,
China. Like that's what
interesting.
it was. That's the main concern of it all now is China. And Tony Blair You know, to same prime minister that got us involved in Afghanistan and Iraq. It was only just last year he came out in an interview and just fucking said it. He basically went, "We need the European Union. We need all of our millions and as many people as we can all coming together. Because what if China decides to fucking come in and start fucking with us?" And like, I'll admit, all right, okay, good point, fair point, but you know, at what cost?
Yeah. One thing that I do is I will Google a company name in China. So
Yeah,
like it gives me it gives me the perspective of different places in the world. And one of them that's really interesting right now is Australia and China. I don't know if
right.
you've followed them at all, but Australia basically has their entire economy wrapped up in China, and they're just off. They're almost just like an island off of China. So they're actually in their hemisphere as well,
Yeah,
and it's interesting to think about like where are these centers of power and culture going to be. Like America will probably maintain itself more or less. It's getting more and more difficult. People are trying to change the culture from within for sure,
yeah,
but America will stay America more or less. I'm confident, and it'll stay a power for sure. I mean that's undoubted. Um, then China, of course, will as well, and they have every incentive to continue growth because their population is so large, and not growing would be a very scary thing for just the people that run China.
yeah.
And then the big question is like, what will happen in Europe? Is Europe going to, especially if Trump, 4 years from now or in this election was gone, would Europe come and absorb Western culture again more and side with America? Is Europe going to become its own thing more and have its own geopolitical, uh, I guess, vibe? I guess the euro kind of already did that. Some
Yeah,
separated
but
them.
yeah, it's just the problem is the euro does rely on all these countries being in it and being part of it, and basically that's what relies on it being a strong currency. The more and more countries that leave the European Union is just going to extremely damage the euro, and that's the thing is one country leaving the European Union is a really big deal. It is a really big deal considering
Mm,
the fact that Britain's only a small little island, but the GDP that it fucking has like over the European Union is extreme. I'd be like, we were a huge amount of its GDP just
mm,
leaving, and that's the thing is the more and more countries leave. See if it devalues the euro each and every single time. That's just going to, it's like dominoes. If one goes, then all of this serious shit starts, and you're already getting, Italy, Hungary. You're even getting movement starting in France and everything to leave. Like Germany's pretty fucking solid on it. They are solid on it.
mm.
That's why everyone makes jokes and calls the European Union the Fourth Reich. It's how
Uh,
Germany managed to finally take over Europe without firing a single shot.
there's some truth to that, but
Yeah, I've heard all the conspiracy theories
Ger-
that Angela Merkel's really like secretly related to Adolf Hitler and all that shit. I've heard all of that stuff.
oh my god.
I don't believe it. It's funny to read, but I don't believe that.
Plus, Germany, a large portion of their economy is exports. So by screwing with the euro, by not being, by increasing the friction between Germany and other countries, that is the most damaging thing you could actually do to it.
Yeah, it's
But
countries' economies are extremely important. But the thing that's happening with China as well is the coronavirus has actually caused a lot of people to start moving their manufacturing like out of China. And
mm,
that's the thing is that a lot of these companies are starting to realize, even though they base themselves in the United States and all that type of stuff, you can put your like import from overseas, have your factories and warehouses and stuff overseas, and you can pay a tiny bit of money, a lot less than you would pay to manufacture at home. But the problem is, by not manufacturing at home and having your company not just under the control of one, not one, but two different governments, you know, one of them being extremely authoritarian, you're actually costing the country you live in a lot. And if you want to stay in business and still stay powerful and, you know, want the long-term profit, then you need to nurture and care for the country that you're actually based in, where your customer base is. I mean, that's the thing is companies know that they need to create jobs where their market is, because, I mean, you're not going to sell any product if nobody has any money to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, they basically have two separate levels of bureaucracy, like the worst,
Yeah.
largest type of bureaucracy that you could have, combining each other, and their feedback loops are going to both be incentivized to grow their own bureaucracies as well. So, so they and we've actually seen that. So, we've almost entirely been made in America, and that has not been easy. It does seem like hopefully that will pay off at this point, in that really we have been leveraging the low incomes of Chinese citizens to make our products for the cheap. And in that, we've traded our jobs out there. So there was less money, I guess, and less managerial jobs, but we could buy stuff very cheap. And now people are going to increasingly come to the realization that the increasing prices, I mean, especially with like clothes, that's been an obvious one where it's like, why do clothes cost so much? Why do they increasingly cost so much? And at least from my experience, it is that we are bringing jobs back. So as China has the middle class that is growing as well, they're going to earn more money, and the $4 cheap t-shirts, $2 t-shirts are just going to evaporate with that low income bracket going away.
Yeah. Like that's the thing is as well, like I said earlier, you want to nurture the place that you're in. Like that's one thing as well, like with the third world countries, like China is raping Africa right now for all of its resources, because they're going into the place, they know that the politicians are corrupt as shit. Basically, China's like, just give us give us a fucking blank check so that we can go in and we can mine all your minerals and precious metals and everything, and we'll just take it back to China to use for our production for pennies on the fucking dollar, and we'll pay our workers like the equivalent of like 50 cents a day at best, but we'll give you, Mr. Politician, you know, a nice little 20 grand every month, and that politician's already got his pen out to fucking sign that bit of paper. Like, but that's the problem is, like, instead of like these countries basically giving away all of their precious resources, I think we should be able to give them the means to use them themselves and build up enterprises. Because see, instead of viewing countries like Africa and all that, you know, Africa's not a country, it's a fucking continent. The countries of Africa, instead of seeing them as like charity cases that we need to give like all this global aid to, why not help build them up to the point where they're not a charity case, they're a trading partner, they're actually a competitive area on the market. Like, see, for example, the best example, Botswana, right? Right next to Botswana, you've got Zimbabwe, which adopted socialism, and it's a giant fucking slum. It's a giant fucking dump that had a tyrannical dictator, Robert Mugabe, for like many, many years. But right next door, you've got Botswana, which just embraced capitalism. And it's a first world country. Crime's low, like drug crime's low, and nobody emigrates from there. And nobody, you know, you don't get any like refugees or migrants from Botswana, because it's actually very good there and everything. And they've now came up to the point, and this has just been over the case of like 30 years. I think it was one of their presidents came in and just went, we're going full ANCAP, boys. And everything. Like, Botswana's now becoming like, I think it is the wealthiest country in South Africa, and Africa next to South Africa. Like, and they're doing it the right way. Like, the fact that they've risen up and like they're a trading partner equal with everyone else, fantastic. You know, money makes the world go around. If everybody's trading and selling with each other, that's a fantastic thing. You know, more business, more jobs, that creates less homelessness, less poverty. I mean, I want everyone to be doing well.
And even just on like building these places, I think, and I was just literally like, I just had this insight maybe yesterday that the fact that we aren't investing in these other countries means it's
Yeah,
not profitable for us to do so.
yeah,
That's basic capitalism. And that alone shows us that something is fundamentally broken with globalization at this point.
yeah,
Because given how big the world is, you would think that we would have a lot of investment opportunities all over the world, and for some reason we don't necessarily. It's not happening. So and capital is from those countries is actually flowing to America for the hold of value, for the stability that does exist here. And that just seems, fundamentally, globalization is going to start becoming its own pockets with its own hemispheres of power.
yeah.
And 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 it sounds like I should pay more attention to Botswana. It sounds like the Singapore of Africa, maybe, or something.
You should see it. Like the capital city, I forget what it's called. It just looks like New York.
Oh wow.
Big towering skyscrapers and everything, and it's like that's where everyone goes like that. Oh, well, Wakanda, and all, man. It's like look at fucking Botswana. They're doing fucking excellent. The reason they're doing excellent is because they embrace capitalism, whereas right next door you've got Zimbabwe who embrace socialism, and the place is a giant fucking toilet. Like
Yeah.
putting it bluntly, yeah, like that's what you say when you get an authoritarian government that only cares about itself and its own power, the people suffer. Whereas Botswana
Hmm.
adopted a system where, if you're willing to put the fucking work in and you're smart enough, you won't just rise out of poverty, but you'll fucking, Botswana's got a bunch of fucking millionaires now. Because see when you've got a nice big like empty market, picture just fresh capitalism day one. It's just started. A bunch of really fucking smart dudes managed to nail a lot of parts of the market right away because it was open, and yeah, it's a fucking.
Yeah.
I want
It's like,
the rest of Africa should just do the exact same.
yeah, it seems so hard to get the organization and the people that have the power to not just immediately turn extractive in like
Yeah,
lowest common denominator decisions. But
yeah.
not to keep you forever. I have one spitfire rapid fire type question. Just give your thoughts in one word on these different social media platforms. So just one word.
Okay.
Uh, so the first one is Facebook.
Cancer. I don't have Facebook. I deleted my Facebook. I don't have Facebook.
Google.
The wannabe
Also cancer.
China. Yeah.
All right. Not much differentiation, but YouTube.
There is an element of it that wants to return to the glory days, and I,
Please,
th-
YouTube.
I think the top brass of YouTube are starting to see that because
Mm.
they've just been seeing a downward trend because of the way they've been conducting themselves. And I think that a bunch of the top brass are realizing that now and they're starting to go back. I think, fingers crossed, I hope.
Promising, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a crazy sentiment. I mean, that's actually big coming from you. I
Yeah, I
would
know.
say.
We can only hope.
Twitter.
It's a cesspool. It is just a cesspool. It is not a place where you can have serious conversations. That's why I just shitpost
I
on it.
know.
It's just for shitposting now.
You can't even have good faith conversations on the platform. Like
No.
it just is not set up to have good faith.
So you could post a tweet that says "Good morning" and everyone will go "Good morning, white supremacist." It's like, fuck, like, what the hell, man? Like,
Check your
yeah,
privilege, bitch.
yeah, it's fucking fuck Twitter. It's good. It's good for having fun. It's good for wasting a lot of fucking time as well, though.
I break my social media apps. Just I cannot. I I just cannot. I mean, I would. I would be on there way too much. I'd probably have more followers, but I just can't do it. But who knows? Maybe in the future. But Reddit.
I don't use Reddit. I
Reddit
don't.
stuff.
The only time that I use Reddit is on my phone. I will read Today I Learned while I'm eating, and that's it. Apart from reading Today I Learned, like while I'm eating my dinner, I don't use Reddit at all.
Smart man.
Yeah.
4chan.
Oh, it used to be so good. It used to be so fucking good. Like I remember the days when we would like fucking like troll people, but it was like, the Habbo Hotel pool's closed. I mean, if someone was doing some really sketchy shit, people would like. I know doxing someone's bad, but they would remember the guy. Like I see when Kenny Glenn happened, the guy that was abusing his cat.
No,
I was there. I was there. I was in that thread and all
oh,
that. And then I was also in the doxing thread when people figured out who he was and managed to snitch on him to the police. That type of stuff when someone's committing a serious and pretty fucking disgusting crime. That's that good shit. That's that good shit. But now it's just not the same anymore.
I know all the memes used to come from it. It lost its creativity
Yeah.
somewhere.
It was at the forefront of internet culture. Like any new meme, any new thing, any new fad, it always came from 4chan first, and
Mhm.
just over the years they lost it. I mean, I think it probably started around about the time when lots of people started going on poll, not realizing that poll was ironic. Like poll was supposed to be ironic, but people went in and took it as a serious political ideology.
And now it is, yeah,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, fucking hell.
Pornhub, social media.
I actually don't use Pornhub.
Smart man.
I don't actually use it.
But all right. Thanks for being on this today. I'll talk to you for a sec after this recording. But where can people find you? They'll already know.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again.
No worries, man.